Hey everyone, welcome back to the cabin. This is Q&A Sunday number 12. I'm going to jump right into it. First question, do you make maple syrup? I've been asked this quite a bit. I made it one time way back in my first cabin in the early 80s. It was a lot of fun, did it on a fire outside. Someday I might do it again, probably do it the same way. But I haven't made it because I've got a lot of friends in the syrup business. So I just assume buy it from them to support their business, or we do a little barter. Yeah, we don't use that much of the stuff anyway. Do you have a vacuum or do you just use a broom at the cabin? We do have a vacuum, but I don't run the generator just to vacuum the house, okay? Whenever the generator is running, I try to tackle as many tasks as I can that the generator is needed for. So if the generator is running to run my power tools, Lori will usually do all the vacuuming on that day, or maybe if it's running to charge the batteries or something. But again, we try and tackle as many projects at one time because it saves on gas that way. I get a lot of questions about the water. And most of you already know the situation here at the cabin. But I get new subscribers every single day. And like I said before, that's why these Q&As are working out so good for me. Because everybody gets an answer to their question, but yet I don't have to keep answering the same question. So I'm going to cover all the water questions one final time. And I don't have to answer those anymore. Okay, question, do we have a well? Most of you know, we get our water from a well that was dug by the settlers by hand back in the late 1700s. We get the water the same way they did. Drop an old kettle down into the well, and I fill the buckets and I carry them back to the cabin. That method works very well for me, and I actually enjoy carrying the water. Lots of people have asked how far the well is from the cabin. It's 99 paces from the well to the door. Okay, I like it. I like carrying it. By the time I get back to the cabin, I can really feel it in my shoulders and my traps up here. I like the feeling. I like to stay strong. And carrying that water is a really good workout. It really is. People have asked me if I could explain the water system that we have, how we have running water at the sink. Well, I have 12-volt pumps and all kinds of pipes and all kinds of stuff that I've salvaged out of campers, but I haven't used them here at the cabin. Maybe someday I will, but what I did was I took the water tank out of a camper. It was a horizontal water tank that went underneath the seats in the camper. So I wanted to have it upright in the vertical position. So I cut one end off of it, and then I ran some PEX pipe through the ceiling joist here, and then I had to drop it down into the kitchen, and I used an old tarnished copper pipe. I connected the PEX to the copper, and then it goes into the cabinet, and then I ran PEX. I went back to PEX pipe, and I ran the PEX all the way to the faucet. And it works out fantastic. You just turn the water on, you know. You just have to keep the tank full upstairs. But I fill the tank 2 to 3 times a week. That seems to work out just fine for us. Very simple, but efficient and effective. So I'm going to continue to do it. A lot of people have asked how we heat the water for a shower. Now, we have the Kitchen Queen wood-burning kitchen stove here, the wood-burning oven, and that fire is burning 24 hours a day during the cold time of the year. So there's always kettles on the stove to make hot water. People ask, how do we heat the water for a shower in the summer? We have a kitchen stove, a propane stove right here. We just put a kettle or two on the burners, no time at all, they're good and hot. Very affordable, very convenient, okay? Works out slick. Okay, now there are all kinds of on-demand water heaters that they sell in the market now, some little portable ones. A lot of off-gridders use them. I'll put a link in the description below. I've talked to a lot of people that use them. I've heard mixed reviews, okay, but they're really affordable. Might be just a ticket for some folks, but for myself, I'd rather put the money someplace else. Someday in the future, and I don't want to heat the water in the manner that I use, maybe I'll try that. But for now, what we do works just great for us, and we're going to continue to do it. Okay? So here's a you should moment. I'll put my glasses on for this one. You should put wheels on the kitchen queen and roll it into the screen porch so you don't have to heat the house up in the summer. Well, yeah, that would avoid heating the house up, but instead of rearranging the house when I want to make some scrambled eggs, I just assume just put a fry pan on the propane stove over here. We got this old propane stove, works out really good. But we are going to upgrade the stove and put a stove over here after the screen porch is on, and I may put this antique out on the screen porch and just have it as a spare, you know, or maybe when we're doing some canning or something. But if I fire up the kitchen queen in the summertime, Frankie's gonna he's gonna commit me into the mental ward. Right, Frankie? Huh? You want me to heat the house up in July? Huh? No? You don't want me to do that? Take it from a border collie. Okay, here's a you shouldn't moment. I got to start coming up with all kinds of different categories. I got the you should and you shouldn't. You shouldn't be giving advice on building insulation. Recommending a product with such a low R factor only reveals your level of intelligence. And then he rambled on and on and on to tell me that he had a degree in engineering. And I hear it quite often when people have a degree, they like to boast about it. Well, it's certainly something to be proud of, but there's a big difference between being book smart and having experience. When I was a contractor, we hired some people occasionally that were right out of carpentry school, and you know what? In most cases, especially renovations, they were useless. Someone came with a rusty old pickup truck, dirty pants, flunked out of high school, but's been on a framing crew for the last few years. We'd scoff him up in a heartbeat because he was worth something. There's just something to be said for experience. I'm not knocking education, so don't put words in my mouth. People always putting words in my mouth that are unfamiliar taste for me. But seriously, that fancy degree might serve you well in the big city, but up here in the woods, in this cabin, insulating this floor, it ain't worth a piss hole in a snowbank. I'm not kidding you. You got to look at things from different perspectives, okay? If I insulate this floor with something with a heavy R factor so no heat passes through the floor, that's not going to serve in my best interest because my pipes are going to freeze. Everything I store under the cabin's going to freeze. The dirt under the cabin's going to freeze. That's the last thing that I want to take place. The bubble foil, because of the reflectiveness, kicks the heat back up. The floor is nice and warm. Remember when I peeled that little section back? The floorboards were nice and warm. This floor is nice and warm. Okay, look, I'm barefoot, okay? This floor is nice and warm. Nothing freezes under the cabin. I've already proven that, so I don't have to prove it. But if you're uncomfortable with it, go with what you're comfortable with. Don't ever let anybody ever talk you into anything that you're not comfortable with, regardless of what the subject is. Follow your intuition. Follow those gut feelings, okay? So if you don't want to use any bubble foil, don't use it. okay? Some places where you need a heavy R factor, go with something else, okay? But consider the source, okay? Just because some country bumpkin like myself doesn't have a degree, it doesn't mean that the advice that we give isn't worthy. I'm not worthy! I'm not worthy!
Frankie and the boss out walking in the woods, living life happy and free. Tracks in the snow everywhere they go, there's a pokey way up in that tree. A beaver built a pond where they have some fun, taking life a day at a time. Best friends until the end. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss. Frankie and the boss.